Hi everyone, I'm Laura. I'm going to show you how to crochet this frog prince. So if you've never crocheted before, take a look at my videos about how to do single crochet and how to crochet in the round. If you'd like the written version of this pattern, it's on my website and I'll leave the link in the description. So you're going to need a 3mm crochet hook, a stitch marker, a yarn needle, and some 12mm black safety eyes. So this is what they look like. You can buy them in packs online, or you can get individual ones of just one size. And these are the plastic backs that go on them. And you'll need some pins to help with sewing and some stuffing. And you'll also need double knit yarn in green, yellow or gold and black. So we're going to start with the head and we're going to make a magic ring. So just take that short tail out and put it by the side. And we're going to do 6 single crochet in the magic ring, and we're going to do the single crochet underneath both of those strands. So count the V's to count your stitches and pull tight on that short tail to close the magic ring. And then put the marker in this stitch here. Round 2, we're going to do an increase in every stitch. So an increase is 2 single crochet in 1 stitch, and then you'll have 12 stitches at the end of the round. So take the marker out and do your last increase. And you can count your stitches like this, make sure you've got the right number. And this is how you count your rounds, so 1 and 2. And the stitch marker goes back in the last stitch you did. Round 3, we're going to single crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to do an increase in the next stitch, and we're going to do this 6 times, so the part in brackets is repeated the number of times stated, and we'll have 18 stitches at the end of the round. So I'm just going to speed up the rest of this round just to show you, but you can pause the video and meet me back. So take the marker out and do your last increase. So we've got 3 rounds now. Round 4, we're going to single crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to do an increase in the next 3 stitches. And then we're going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches. Then we're going to increase the next 3 stitches. And then we're going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches, and we should have 24 stitches at the end of this round. So we're still increasing in multiples of 6, but we're putting our increases on either end so that we end up with an oval shape instead of a round ball shape, because we want the frog's head to be more of an oval shape. So you can see the oval shape there, and we're just going to continue making that shape. Round 5, we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to increase in the next stitch. Then we're going to single crochet in the next stitch, then increase in the next stitch twice. So that part in brackets is repeated twice. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches. Then we're going to single crochet in the next stitch, then increase in the next stitch, and we're going to do that 3 times. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches, and we'll have 30 stitches at the end of the round. So you can see our increases are all on either side, and you can count your rounds like this if you need to. Round 6, we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then we're going to do an increase in the next stitch. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches, then increase in the next stitch, and we're going to do that twice. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 8 stitches. Then we're going to increase in the next stitch. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches, then increase in the next stitch, and we're going to do that twice. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches, and we should have 36 stitches at the end of the round. So that was the last round of increasing. Rounds 7 to 11, that's 5 rounds. We're going to single crochet in every stitch, so we're just maintaining 36 stitches. We're not increasing or decreasing. So I've just sped up the first round just to show you what it looks like, but you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done all 5 rounds. Okay, so I've done all 5 rounds now, and this is what it's looking like. So if you need to count your rounds, you can find the last increase round, so there's an increase there, and then count 5 after that. Round 12, we're going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches, and then we're going to do an invisible decrease, and we're going to do that 6 times, and we'll have 30 stitches at the end of the round. So I'm going to show you how to do the invisible decrease. So count and make sure you got 4. And then this is the front loop of the next stitch because it's closest to us. And this is the back loop because it's furthest away. We're going to be working in the front loops only. So pick up the front loop of the next stitch and then pick up the front loop of the stitch next to that. You've got 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. And now yarn over and pull through the next 2 loops. And that's an invisible decrease, so that's decreased by 1. And you can see those back loops remaining. And then you can see this diagonal piece. We don't want to go into that, we want to go into the next proper stitch under the V, so under both loops. So now we just repeat that, single crochet in the next 4 stitches and then invisible decrease. So you can see your invisible decrease there because they're not actually completely invisible. There is a difference to them, and that helps if you need to count how many stitches you've got in between each one. So I'm going to show you this round in full, but you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done it. So take the marker out when you've got 2 stitches remaining and do your last invisible decrease. So I always like to stretch it out after every round just so that it is the shape that I need it to be. You can see it's got this nice oval shape. And you can tuck that short tail from the magic ring inside, and we're going to start stuffing as we go. So push some stuffing in, but make sure you don't stuff it too close to the edge because we don't want it to get caught in our stitches as we continue crocheting. Round 13, we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then we're going to do an invisible decrease. We'll do that 6 times and we'll have 24 stitches at the end of the round. So I'm just going to show you the first set and then you can pause the video and meet me back. So we're going to keep stuffing it as we go. Round 14, we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches and then we're going to do an invisible decrease. We'll do that 6 times and we'll have 18 stitches at the end of the round. So again, I just show you the first set and then you can pause the video. So that was the last round of decreasing. Now we're going to fasten off, leaving a long tail for sewing. So about this long. And to fasten off, you just wrap the yarn around the hook, pull it through the loop and pull it all the way through, and then pull on it to tighten it. So now we're going to make the eyes, and the first 3 rounds are exactly the same as the first 3 rounds of the head. So I'll leave the instructions on the screen and you can meet me back when you've done them. Okay, so I've done those 3 rounds, and you can count and make sure you've got 18 if you want to. And both eyes are made in exactly the same way. Rounds 4 to 5, that's 2 rounds. We're going to single crochet in every stitch, just maintaining 18 stitches. So I'm going to speed up both of these rounds just to show you what it looks like, but you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done it. Okay, so you can count your rounds like this, and then we're going to fasten off, leaving a tail for sewing. And we're not going to stuff these eyes. So now you can make another eye exactly the same. Now we're going to insert our 12mm safety eyes. We're going to insert them between rounds 3 and 4. So this is how you count your rounds, and this is in between rounds 3 and 4. Now, because it's a 12mm safety eye and the gaps between the crochet are fairly small, I did have quite a bit of trouble with this, but what I found worked was to keep twisting it because it's like a screw. And then I actually took it out and used my needle to try and make that hole a bit bigger. So you want it so that the back of the safety eye is flat against the edge of the work. And I actually found that with my second eye it went through a lot easier, so I suppose it depends on how tight your tension is and how big the gaps are in your work. But it will go through eventually. You just have to make the hole a bit bigger. So once you've got it all the way through, this is the plastic back, and this is the way that it goes on. So some of them are different, but for this one it goes on this way round. So just snap it and you'll hear it click about 3 times as it goes over those little grooves of the screw. And we want it to be flat against the work. So like that. Okay, so I've made both eyes now, and you can tuck that short tail from the magic ring inside. And then thread that tail onto your needle. And what we're going to do first is go through the stitch next to where we fastened off from the inside going outwards like that, and do that on both eyes. And that's just so that we've got a smoother edge instead of having a big step. So now we're going to use our pins to position it on the head. So we want it to be this way around, so the oval shape with the wider edge facing us. And we want the edges of each safety eye to be on round 3, to be touching round 3 of the head on each side. So use about 4 pins on each eye. It really helps to use pins because you can plan out exactly where you want things to be, and then you can keep them in place while you're sewing. And they're both finishing on that same round, so they're both level with each other. And when you're happy with the position of them, thread the tail onto your needle. And I'm just going to show you how to sew on one eye, and then you can sew the other one on. We're going to pick up loops from the surface of the stitches on the head, so just the closest one to where you need it to be. And then we're going to go through under both loops, so under the V of the next stitch. And we're just going to do this all the way around. So pick up a loop that's as close as possible to the stitch. I'm just going to speed this bit up, and then I'll show you what to do when we get back to the start. You can take your pins out as you go. So to fasten off, go through a loop nearby, but don't go through all the way. So not like what I did, I had to actually pull mine out because I went through all the way. So leave a loop and then go through that loop from behind and pull tight to make a knot. And that's how you fasten off when you're sewing. Now we're going to weave that tail through the head, so just go in near where you came out of and come out of the opening. And then you can trim that tail and tuck it inside. So now we're going to make the nostrils and mouth. So cut a 30cm piece of black yarn and tie a double knot near the end. So one knot and then another knot on top of it. And then thread it onto your needle. I'm going to go through the opening and come out between rounds 7 and 8. So this is how you count your rounds. So this is between rounds 7 and 8. And we're going to make 2 short diagonal lines for the nostrils, going over just one round. So just over the space of 1 stitch diagonally. And we come out there and then we're going to do another one, just 1 stitch away. So I actually changed my mind, I wanted it a bit further apart. So we come out here. And then we go in here and we're going to come out between rounds 9 and 10, about 3 stitches away from the edge of the nostril. And we're going to make 2 diagonal lines for the mouth going across 2 rounds. So you want to go in around here, in between the middle of the 2 nostrils. And come out 3 stitches away from the other nostril. So those 2 lines are going over the space of 2 rounds. And go back in where you came out of and come out through the neck opening. Now we're going to fasten off in the same way as before by finding a loop on the inside of that last round. And go through it but not all the way. Leave a loop and go through the loop from behind and pull tight to make a knot. And then you can trim that tail and tuck it inside. Now we're going to make the body, and the first 3 rounds are the same as the head and the eyes. So I'm going to leave the instructions on the screen and you can pause the video and meet me back. So I've done those 3 rounds now. Round 4, we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches and then we're going to do an increase in the next stitch. We'll do that 6 times and we'll have 24 stitches at the end of the round. So this time we're increasing evenly in multiples of 6. So I'll just show you the first set and then you can pause the video and meet me back. Round 5, we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches and then we're going to do an increase in the next stitch. We'll do that 6 times and we'll have 30 stitches at the end of the round. Round 6, we're going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches, then we're going to do an increase in the next stitch. We'll do that 6 times and we'll have 36 stitches at the end of the round. Round 7, we're going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches, then we're going to do an increase in the next stitch. We'll do that 6 times and we'll have 42 stitches at the end of the round. And this is the last round of increasing. Rounds 8 to 12, that's 5 rounds. We're going to single crochet in every stitch, so just maintaining 42 stitches in each round. So you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done all 5 rounds. Okay, so I've done those 5 rounds now, and again you can find an increased stitch on that last increase round and count 5 after that. Round 13, we're going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches, and then we're going to do an invisible decrease, and we'll do that 6 times so that we have 36 stitches at the end of the round. So I'll just show you the first set and then you can pause the video and meet me back. Now we're going to start stuffing it as we go, so just tuck that tail inside. And again, try not to stuff it too close to the top because we don't want it getting caught in our stitches as we continue crocheting. Round 14, we're going to single crochet in the next 10 stitches and then we're going to do an invisible decrease. And we'll do that 3 times and we'll have 33 stitches at the end of the round. So now we've switched from decreasing in multiples of 6 and now we're going to be decreasing in multiples of 3. So I'll show you the rest of this round sped up just so you can see, but you can pause the video and meet me back. So I like to stretch out my crochet after every round so that it has the shape that I want. So continue stuffing. Round 15, we're going to single crochet in every stitch, just maintaining 33 stitches. So you can pause the video and meet me back. So I've done that round now. Round 16, we're going to single crochet in the next 9 stitches, and then we're going to do an invisible decrease, and we'll do that 3 times, and we'll have 30 stitches at the end of the round. So this time I'm just going to show you the first set, and then you can pause the video and meet me back. Round 17, we're going to single crochet in every stitch, just maintaining 30 stitches. So you can pause the video and meet me back. Round 18, we're going to single crochet in the next 8 stitches, and then we're going to do an invisible decrease, and we'll do that 3 times, and we'll have 27 stitches at the end of the round. So we can continue stuffing. Round 19, we're going to single crochet in every stitch, just maintaining 27 stitches. Round 20, we're going to single crochet in the next 7 stitches, then we're going to do an invisible decrease, and we'll do that 3 times, and we'll have 24 stitches at the end of the round. And keep stuffing it as you go. Round 21, we're going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches, then we're going to do an invisible decrease. We'll do that 3 times, and we'll have 21 stitches at the end of the round. So now we're not doing the rounds of single crochet in between anymore. We're just decreasing in every round now. Round 22, we're going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches, then we're going to do an invisible decrease. We'll do that 3 times, and we'll have 18 stitches at the end of the round. And this is the last round. So last bits of stuffing going in. Then we're going to fasten off, and we don't need to leave a long tail because we left a long tail at the end of the head. So now we're going to sew the head to the body. You can put a little bit more stuffing in the head if you think it needs it. Thread the long tail onto your needle, and we're going to do it where you see those two end pieces meet nicely like that. So go underneath the V of the next stitch after where you fastened off on the body. And then we're going to work backwards on the head, so go underneath both loops of the next stitch, and we're going to do this all the way around. So if you get bits of stuffing getting caught in your stitches, you can just pull it out from the inside and try and squash it down a bit. So as you get to the end, just pick up any loop you can find and then go through the side of that bit where we fastened off and just get as close as possible to that other tail, and then tie those two ends in a knot. So just a single tight knot, and then we're going to weave both of those ends in. So go in near where it comes out of. And then cut the yarn close to the edge of the work and use the end of your needle to push that end inside and hide it. Now we're going to make the front legs, and we're going to make two the same. So we're going to make a slip knot, but leave a longer tail than you normally would at the start of the slip knot, because we're going to use that for sewing later on. Round one, we're going to chain 8, and then we're going to join it in a circle with a single crochet in the first chain. So count and make sure you've got 8. And then you want to make sure that the right side of those V's are facing you, and just go in that side loop of the first chain like this. And then do a single crochet as you normally would. So yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2. And then we're going to single crochet in the next 7 chains. So this is the next loop, the top loop at the side of each V. And we'll have 8 stitches at the end of this round. So pull that shorter tail out through the bottom of the hole so it doesn't get in the way. And last one here. And then count and make sure you've got 8 stitches. And then put the marker in the last stitch you did, and we're going to work in continuous spiral rounds, same as we normally do. So rounds 2 to 12, that's 11 rounds. We're going to single crochet in every stitch, just maintaining 8 stitches so that we have a tube. So I'm just going to show you the first couple of rounds so that you can see what it looks like, and then you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done all 11 rounds. So something I did was push the end of my crochet hook in the hole just to sort of stretch it out and make it a little bit bigger. This is how you count your rounds, same as usual. But obviously we're not counting the first one in that because that's round 1. So we start counting the 11 rounds from that second round. So you can see we've got rounds 2 and 3 there. Okay, so I've done all of those rounds, and this is how you count. So turn it this way around, and then you can count from round 2 upwards. And now we're going to make the toes. So chain 5. And starting in the second stitch from the hook, so this one here, we're going to do 3 half double crochet. So yarn over, push the hook in the stitch, yarn over and pull through. You've got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. And that's a half double crochet. Now we're going to do 2 more of those in that same stitch. So yarn over, push the hook in the stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. So 1 more. Then we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. Then we're going to flatten this end and we're going to push the hook in the next stitch. So the next stitch on the last round that we did. And then we're going to push the hook in the stitch directly opposite that. So not the stitch to the right before the toe, but this one. So we're skipping 1 stitch behind the toe. I'm going to do a slip stitch through both layers. So yarn over and pull through, and then pull that first loop through the second loop, and that's a slip stitch. So we've done one toe, and now we're going to repeat that twice more so that we have 3 toes in total. So chain 5, starting in the second stitch from the hook, we're going to do 3 half double crochet in the next stitch. And then we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. And then we're going to do a slip stitch through both layers of the next stitches. So push the hook through the next stitch, and then the stitch directly opposite that, so the next one on the opposite side, and do a slip stitch. And then we do that one more time. And now push the hook through the next stitch, and then the stitch directly opposite. So we're actually skipping that stitch in the corner there. So there's 1 stitch skipped on either side. So out of the 8 stitches that we had, we've only used 6 in total. So 3 lots of 2. So now we're going to fasten off, leaving a tail about this long, because we're going to use this as part of sewing it on later on. So now you can make the other front leg in exactly the same way, and knit me back, and I'll show you how to make the back legs. So you can see I've got 2 front legs here, and then I've got a back leg. So the back legs are made in exactly the same way, except they've got 14 rounds of single crocheting in every stitch instead of 11. So they're just longer. So they've got 15 rounds in total, and then the toes are exactly the same. So I'm going to leave all of the instructions on the screen for how to make the back legs, and then you can pause the video and meet me back. Okay, so I've made my 2 front legs and 2 back legs, and you can see from this one that I made that this is how I've sewn them on. So what we're going to do to begin with is thread that tail from the toe end through the back, through to the back on the 3rd round up from the bottom, roughly. And we'll do the same on the other front leg. So we'll just leave that for now, and now we're going to pin them on. So we're going to pin it on the 4th round down from the top of the body. So we want it at the front to the side here. So flatten the end and go through that stitch next to it, and that's just to make it a smoother edge for sewing. So now pin it on at the top, and then we're going to pin the next leg about 4 stitches away. So put another pin in at the bottom of the leg. And the feet should sit flat on a flat surface, so you can just test it all the time like that. And the bottom of the body, you can squash that flat so that he sits better on a flat surface. So thread the tail onto your needle and pick up loops from the surface of the stitches on that round, and then go through both layers, going through those chain loops from that first round, and do this all the way along the top edge. And then you can take both pins out and lift the arm up and find a loop underneath and fasten off in the same way that we normally do. And then weave that through the body. And then we're going to use the tail from the toe end to sew the bottom end of the front leg to the body, just making a couple of stitches. So just line it up with where that tail comes out of and find the closest loop you can. And then fasten off in the same way and weave in the end. And then cut the yarn close to the edge of the work and use the end of your needle to push it in and hide it. And now just sew the other front leg on in exactly the same way. Okay, so I've sewn both front legs on. Now with the back legs, we're going to weave that tail from the toe end through to the back, a few rounds above the end of it. And we're going to bend it in half so that the ends meet. And we're going to flatten the end so that it's flat against the body. And we want that to sit level with the other feet. So it's going to be just behind the front toes. And then put a pin through the bend there. And then another pin going through the other end of the leg. So you want it to be sort of a V shape, the way that his leg is bending. And then we're going to sew that end row down at an angle like this. Just picking up the nearest loop to where you need it to be. So going down to the next round. And you can take that pin out now. And now we're going to weave through to where it bends. So weave through the body and come out next to where the leg is bent. And then we're going to pick up loops from the surface of those stitches on the leg and just do a couple of stitches to attach his knee to the body. And then you can take that last pin out and lift his leg up. And then we're going to fasten off here in the same way as before. And then weave that end in by going back through near where you came out of. And then we're going to use that tail from the toe end to sew the end of the leg to the body. So weave through to the side edge at the bottom. And just pick up loops and do a couple of stitches there. And fasten off in the same way as before and weave in the end. Cut the yarn close to the edge of the work and hide those ends. And then sew the other leg on in exactly the same way. So I've sewn on all the legs now, and the only thing left to do is make the crown now. So we're going to make a slip knot. Then we're going to chain 10. So count your chains, make sure you've got 10. And then it's exactly the same with the legs. We're going to join it in a circle with a single crochet in the first chain. And then we're going to single crochet in the next 9 chains. So we've got 10 stitches at the end of the round. So count your stitches, make sure you've got 10. Round 2, we're going to chain 4. So count your chains, make sure you've got 4. And starting in the second stitch from the hook, we're going to do a slip stitch in the next stitch. Then we're going to single crochet in the next stitch. And then we're going to do a half double crochet in the next stitch. Then we're going to skip 1 stitch on round 1. And we're going to slip stitch in the next stitch. Then we're going to repeat that all the way around so that we have 5 triangles in total. So chain 4, starting in the second stitch from the hook, slip stitch, then single crochet in the next stitch, then half double crochet in the next stitch, then skip 1 stitch on round 1 and slip stitch in the next stitch. So you can pause the video and meet me back when you've done all 5 triangles. Okay, so I've got 1 more slip stitch to do, so I'm skipping the next stitch and slip stitch in the next stitch. Then we're going to fasten off, leaving a long tail for sewing. So push those triangles towards the middle so that they're together, so it's more like a crown than a star. And now we're going to sew it on. So we're going to sew it in between the eyes, going around round 2 of the head. So thread the tail onto your needle and weave it through down the inside, going through loops at the back of the stitches, coming out on the underside, and position it so that that part where you're coming out of is at the back. And then pick up loops from the surface of the stitches on round 2 and go through those chain loops from round 1. So I skipped a few stitches on each part just to get to where I needed to be. So you don't need to do too many stitches, just enough to get you around in a circle. And then fasten off in the same way as usual, and then weave in both of those ends. Cut the yarn close to the edge of the work and use the end of your needle to push those ends inside and hide them. So there you have it, the frog prints is finished. I'd love to see a photo of your frog prints. You can share it with me by tagging me on Instagram at Laura_Wilson01. I also have an Etsy shop where I design and sell crochet patterns. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave the link in the description. If you like this video, give me a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.